Can Maxim and his fellow soldiers hold off Russian advances now in the east, in Donbass? Yuriy is advisor to Ukraine's Minister of Defense.
At the moment, what is happening in Donbass area is something that we have been saying will happen for a long time. So in one respect, it's not surprising that the fighting there is continually getting more and more intense. The Russian aggressors are trying to encircle and destroy in small pockets the Ukrainian armed forces. And of course, it's very dynamic. It's not possible at the moment to make any conclusive statements, but at the same time, the situation seems to have been stabilized by the Ukrainian armed forces. They are defending the areas that they control, but the major balance, or rather imbalance, is in that the Russian aggressors have much more firepower, much more heavy artillery. They're pummeling those areas 24/7 without stopping, and of course they're hitting civilian houses, civilian infrastructure, as well as the Ukrainian army. So from this perspective, the situation is very, very serious. And of course, the Ukrainian armed forces continue to expect the delivery of more heavy weaponry, which we have been requesting from the West for a long time now.
Right. And on that subject of heavy weaponry on the Ukrainian side, is there any sign of it becoming available anytime soon?
As you remember, after the meeting of the ministers of defense of more than 40 countries at Ramstein Air Base in Germany, which took place almost a month ago now, there was a very important change in the attitude of our international partners towards providing Ukraine with heavy artillery and with heavy weaponry. And since that moment, the heavy weaponry began arriving in Ukraine. And whatever arrives in Ukraine, of course, goes straight into the battlefield. And we already have great examples of these heavy weapons being used successfully by the Ukrainian army. At the same time, we continue repeating that for us to be able to liberate our territories and to expel the enemy, we need more heavy weaponry, and in particular the most pressing need at the moment are the so-called multi-launch rocket systems, the MLRS systems, because they have a longer fire range than what we have at the moment, and they will allow us to redress the imbalance in artillery in the east, and of course this will be a game changer.
And from which country would they come?
Well, the details of such deliveries are, of course, kept confidential for reasons which we understand.
I wonder if you suspect, though, behind the scenes, whether a discussion is taking place in some Western capitals now about whether or not Donbass has to be ceded to Russia. What would you say about those discussions if they are taking place?
Ukraine will never agree to any end of this war, which would suppose ceding some territory. So we are determined to continue to defend our land and liberate our land. And of course, we do hear these voices. And whenever we hear these voices, we, of course, say immediately that this is impossible, that we need military support in order for us to achieve our goals, in order to restore our territorial integrity, at least to the level of before February 24. So that's as simple as that.
Yuriy, advisor to Ukraine's Minister of Defense. Thank you very much for talking to us.
23 minutes past 8 now.